Welcome back to the New Bridge Radio Show on WLTKDB Let's Talk. I am your host, Kevin Mackey, and we are connecting you to what's next in your life. And we're here to remind you that you are important to this world, and we are glad to have you along on this episode of the New Bridge Radio Show. Just a reminder, you can catch us on our station website. Just head on over to www.wltkdb.com and you can watch the feed live from that site. Or if YouTube is more your flavor, you can catch us on our YouTube page. Just go on over to the search in YouTube, type in WLTKDB, and you'll find the station YouTube channel. And lastly, we're also broadcasting live to Facebook Live. And if you are on Facebook, you can also go to the search and just type us in there, WLTKDB. If you would like to get in touch with the New Bridge Radio Show, you can always email us at thenewbridgeradioshow@gmail.com. And we love hearing from you. We love to know what you like about the channel or what you like about our show. And we would like to know what you don't like about the show as well. And we also would love to know if you would like to be our guest on the New Bridge Radio Show. We love connecting to people who have connected to what was next in their life. So let us know if we can tell your story on the New Bridge Radio Show. Tonight on the New Bridge Radio Show, we are lucky to have our first guest from the beautiful country of Chile. He is an extraordinary person and a skilled musician and a teacher, and he is here to talk about conscious movement. He is Michael Landau, and he is here from Chile. And welcome to the show, Michael. How are you doing?
Hi, Kevin. Thank you for having me. I'm doing fine. How are you?
I am excellent, and I am so privileged to have you here on our show. Like I was saying before we started, you are our first person from Chile.
The first person from Chile. Hopefully
Yes.
not the last.
Oh, hopefully not the last. I'm curious, how long have you lived in Chile?
I've been living here for about 20 years now.
Oh, wow. Quite some
a
time.
while.
Now, it's your spring, isn't it?
Well, kind of, yeah. End of winter, let's say. It's been raining in the last couple of days.
Yeah. So I understand you grew up elsewhere. You grew up in Israel. And what is it a huge change having the seasons reversed down in Chile?
Well, not really. You get used to it. You kind of have to figure out which month is it. Oh, it's supposed to be spring, so it's probably autumn. But yeah, it's the same, only upside down.
Upside down.
It gets trickier when I travel, so it's kind of the other way around.
Exactly. So I'm thrilled to have you on the show. The catchline of the New Bridge Radio Show is connecting you to what's next. And I know a little bit about your story. And I know, you know, as you were growing up, you really had some difficulty deciding what you were going to do. And I think there are a lot of people that are in that same boat. Definitely a lot of young people that are like, I don't know what to do. And a lot of people have that pressure, like from other people, like, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. I've been asking myself, what do I want to do when I grow up? Until, well, I was quite grown up when I was still asking the question. It took a while. I really had no idea. I finished school. I did the military service that it was obligatory in Israel. And then I worked for a year. I went to the university and studied lots of fascinating and useless stuff, like humanities, a double major in English literature and in general humanities. So I studied psychology, philosophy, some music. It was lovely, but it wasn't really a profession. So I finished my degree in the university and still didn't know what to do with my life. But Yeah, I was 28 when I started studying a profession. I've been playing the piano since I was very young, since I was 7. I never thought of making it a profession. I mean, I
Hmm.
really enjoyed it. I wasn't this passionate kid who only wanted to play the piano the whole day. Not at all. I practiced very little, and I had some kind of I was good in sight reading,
Hmm.
so I could read pretty quickly. I couldn't memorize anything, so there was always the score in front of me. And at some point, I was 26, 27 in Tel Aviv, working, finishing my studies, and I I had a neighbor who was a singer. I had a good friend who was a cellist, and I started playing with them for fun, accompanying them,
Hmm.
and I loved it.
Hmm.
Uh, and this was I didn't know this existed as a profession. I mean, I never wanted to be a concert pianist, like sit at home for hours alone and study things and make them perfect. And le- the life of a concert pianist is very dedicated and very solitary.
Right.
This wasn't me at all. But when I started playing with people, um, and it is something completely different, and it's a different line of work. I mean, you still have to play the piano, but you work with other people. There's always a dialogue. There's always communication, and I found out that there are some places where you can actually study to become an accompanist at the piano. There is a specialization. You don't have to do the whole 4 or 5 years of a concert pianist, which I didn't want to do.
Hmm.
And I moved to Vienna and I started studying in the Vienna Conservatory at a course that was made of singers and pianists
Right.
together. So I studied vocal music. I accompanied singers. I studied the literature, and I learned how to do it.
Right. Now,
Um,
let me ask you about this. Because
yeah.
I think this is like, isn't the University of Vienna like a really top-notch music school? Like, did you have to like do a special audition just to get into that school?
Yeah, yeah, of course. You enter by audition.
Hmm. Hmm.
So there were quite a few people. They weren't sure if to take me in or not. I was older than most candidates because I was 28, which is
Right.
considered like old to start
Oh,
start
that's just
studying
over the
a
hill.
musical career. Yeah, I wasn't in the Vienna University. I was in the Vienna Conservatory.
Conservative.
This was kind of a parallel, also a school with a couple hundred years of tradition. It's a good school.
Exactly. Now, were they really strict in that school? Like, did you have to, like, did you have to work really, really hard?
Um, it was it was hard work.
Hmm.
I had to learn German.
Yeah.
I didn't know any German when I got there,
Hmm.
but the teacher of this course was an American pianist.
Mm.
So I could speak English with my teacher, which is good. But I had
Right.
to do all of the other courses, the history of music and theory and harmony and all these things. Um, so yeah, I had to learn German,
Hmm.
uh, and I had to practice a lot, and I had to work with singers, which it was lovely. I really enjoyed it. I mean, it didn't feel like hard work.
Yeah.
It really felt like I found something that I love to do.
Yeah. So you kind of, your introduction into music was mostly your father. Your father was into music as well.
My father listened to classical music all the time.
Uh-huh.
He played the piano a little bit, but he was a scientist. Very, very. Um, let's say his mind was very orderly. And my
Right.
mother was an artist, but a
Hmm.
visual artist. She was a drawing. She was a painter. She worked in a children's magazine as the illustrator. So I've had kind of this mixture of science and arts in the family.
Exactly. But I like that about you because it kind of led you to where you are now. But I want to ask you
Oh,
just another question about your music career because you eventually went on to become a teacher. Yes, in the also the Vienna Conservatory.
yep. I finished studying, and I was accepted as a teacher in the Vienna Conservatory as an accompanist. This is a teacher's job,
Right.
accompanying piano singers. I worked in the musical theater department, in the acting department, and in the classical, like lyrical singing
Hmm.
department. So I had to play very varied music. It was a good job.
Yeah. Did you love it? Did you love doing that work?
I really loved doing it. And it was challenging because I grew up very, it's like a classical pianist. I
Hmm.
knew how to play what's in front of me. The score was there. I had to play the notes that are there on the page. And when I got this job in the musical theater department, these people were singing everything. They were
Yeah.
singing Broadway, they were singing jazz, they were singing pop songs. Some of the things didn't have a score at all. I had to write down the chords. I had to start deciphering these letters that mean harmony, but they don't tell you which notes exactly to
Right.
play. Sorry. So I had to learn to improvise at that advanced age.
Hmm. Advanced.
It was challenging and lovely. I really enjoyed it. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you ever feel really like in the US they have something called imposter syndrome? Did you ever feel like, oh my gosh, these people are going to find out I don't know what I'm doing? Did you ever feel that in your career?
Um, yeah, probably. I didn't call it that or didn't feel it exactly that way.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
just felt inadequate. Like I don't really know how to do it. I know how to read a score, which was very beneficial. I could do most of the job easily because I had good sight reading, which is
Hmm.
a great asset for this line of work. I mean, people came to me with their score, they put it on the piano, and I could accompany them right away, and that was good.
Exactly. So in this career, as a professional, or well, really a professional musician, you started at some point. You started going connecting spiritually. What brought that on? What kind of made you go, there's something to this?
Um, I was always spiritually curious. Let's say
Hmm.
I always felt that this view of, especially my father, who was this kind of old-fashioned scientist. If you can't see it, if you can't prove it, if you can't observe it, it doesn't exist.
Hmm.
So he was very skeptical of anything. I grew up without a religion, really. My parents weren't religious in any way, and I missed, I don't know, some aspect of reality that I felt was there, but I didn't have any access to it.
Hmm. Hmm.
So it started with my reading. I read all of the Don Juan books, Carlos Castaneda, when I was, I don't know, 17, 18. Um, I, I was curious.
Hmm.
I looked into meditation. I looked into well, whatever I could come across in Tel Aviv of these days. It wasn't particularly. It was a very secular environment,
Oh, that's
but
interesting.
I'd say I was a seeker.
Uh-huh. Tel Aviv is more secular. That's interesting to me, because it seems like It's a pinnacle of religion.
Not Tel Aviv, really. Tel Aviv is kind of an island that is
With
different from the rest of Israel. And and I grew up in the north of Tel Aviv, which was kind of a secular people. My classmates was also sons and daughters of people who came from Europe, from all over the world. It was
Mhm.
very mixed, very varied, and it wasn't. Well, I wasn't in a religious school. I mean, Israel is a Jewish country, so
Mm.
the holidays are the Jewish holidays, and this is kind of the background. You learn the history of the Jewish people, but but Judaism is strange. It is not just a religion. It is also um, um, it is a people. Let's say I don't know how to
Exactly.
call it. Um, it is an ethnic be, mm, belonging. So I really grew up without a religion.
Yeah, yeah, we're so here in the United States, Michael, we're starting to learn more about it. They have a show that is on Netflix called Unorthodox. And it's shocking. It is about this Hasidic group of Jewish people in New York, Williamsburg, New York, and
I saw it.
it's kind of a a very close knit community with different beliefs and values. And oddly enough, the protagonist in that show goes to Berlin to become a musician.
Yeah, I saw it. I saw it. Yeah, but this world, the Hasidic world, the really Orthodox Judaism was
Mhm.
something out there for me. I knew it existed. It was we could see the people on the street, but it had I wasn't part of it in any possible way.
Yeah, yeah. Most of us I never even knew it existed until this, and we're like, "Oh, this is what it is." And but it's fascinating. It is fascinating to watch um, that culture and watch everything that we thought we knew, we really didn't know. And so, I love that it's kind of broadening our view of the world. Here in the United States, we are very ignorant, and I'll be the first to admit it. We're very ignorant of the rest of the world. Like people probably come see Americans and they're like, they don't know anything.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, uh,
You think the other coast is the end of the world?
right, exactly. That's exactly how we look. Well, I
Yeah.
can't. There's the border of Canada. I can't go any further. So, yeah, that show is interesting. So, um, as you were working your music career, and was it that that time period where you started to understand movement, where you started to think, there's a reason for this, and there is, you were starting to see kind of a mind body connection.
Um, my my love affair with movement was kind of parallel to my love affair with music. Um, and it started by chance, really. I'm a Feldenkrais practitioner. Feldenkrais, some people in the United States know what it is. There are quite a few practitioners, but it is still a kind of an alternative method.
Mhm.
Um, but it was born in Israel. So there's a lot of Feldenkrais in Israel. And I had a friend, one of my circle of friends, who was a Feldenkrais practitioner. So we had a group of friends, and we met once a week. We did a class. So you lie on the floor, you move slowly, you pay attention to small details. It is a very a special and unique way of moving and exploring movement. And then we would go out and have a beer or go to a movie. So that was my first encounter with Feldenkrais. And then this friend told me, this was when I was just finishing my studies at the Vienna Conservatory. She told us that she's going to be an assistant in a training in Jerusalem. And I said, I want to go. I had no idea why, really. No idea. What I knew was that I lie on the floor, I do movements for an hour, I get up and I feel good, but I had no idea what was behind it, what was the thinking behind it, what it meant. So this was kind of an intuition. I want to do it, didn't know why, and I started the training. So I took it's a 4-year training, it's very intensive, and it's a process that you do with yourself. You do a very deep exploration of yourself in movement or through movement to become a practitioner. So, and then when I became a practitioner, it was kind of a second job. I gave classes occasionally. I worked as a pianist, as an accompanist. So this was kind of in the background. And about 3 years ago, I decided to quit the university. I've been working in the university here in Chile since I came here as a pianist in the Music Institute in Valparaiso. And I decided to quit. That's enough. 30 years at the piano with students. Enough. I decided to dedicate myself to Feldenkrais. So in the last 3 years or so, I'm into movement, conscious movement, mindful movement. I have different ways of describing it. Movement with awareness.
Well, I definitely have more questions for you about this, but we're going to have to step away for just a moment and just take a quick break and hear from our sponsor. And we will be right back on the New Bridge Radio Show.
Sunday, October 24th, the 2021 Statler City Psychic Fair in Buffalo, New York. Come out and meet psychic medium and host of School Through Spirit, Diet Renee, and spirit medium and host of the Ghost Finders, Rob Thompson. Diet Renee is a renowned psychic medium, medical intuitive, and master teacher of psychic mediumship development. Hailing from Wisconsin, Diet trained underworld-renowned psychic Lisa Williams. Spirit medium Rob Thompson is one of Diet's mediumship development students. He is the host and executive producer of America's longest-running indie paranormal TV show, The Ghost Finders, on Amazon Prime, Apple TV, and Roku. He has made guest appearances on other shows including Discovery Channel's Paranormal 911 and A Haunting, and teaches paranormal research at the Los Angeles City College. Come and meet these two superb mediums together on stage for live gallery readings. Remember, Sunday, October 24th, the 2021 Statler City Psychic Fair. Get your tickets now at StatlerCity.com. That's StatlerCity.com. Doors open at 1, close at 6. Gallery readings, tarot cards, and more. Statler City Psychic Fair. Tickets at StatlerCity.com.
Welcome back to the New Bridge Radio Show on WLTKDB Let's Talk. I am your host, Kevin Mackey, and we are talking to our special guest, Michael Landau, who is joining us from Chile, and we're excited to have you, Michael. And you were just beginning to talk about movement, and I have heard you say the modality that you're trained in 3 times, and even on other podcasts, and I don't catch the name of it. What is it again?
Feldenkrais.
Feldenkrais.
Feldenkrais, yeah. It is typically the typical reaction is Felden what?
Right.
It's okay.
Right.
It's the name of the founder, of the person who developed the method. His name was Moshe Feldenkrais. So
I'm curious about the movement. Now, is There are a lot of healing modalities that incorporate movement. Most of them that I know of are Eastern, certainly Qigong, and but this is a little different. Is all of the movement while you're laying down, or does it incorporate a lot more?
So it is not really a therapy. It is not a therapy in movement. It is seen more as an educational method.
Mm,
So
mm.
it's in the family of somatic education, which
Okay.
means like a process of learning that involves all of you and the body. So movement is a kind of a doorway into knowing ourselves better, understanding how we work, how we can improve. It opens the possibility for healing too, but it's not a therapy. I don't treat symptoms really. I help people organize themselves better so that they can be more efficient, more healthy in the way they act, um, do better whatever it is that they want to do. And the classes are either a group class, which is typically with a mat on the floor. It can be lying on your back, on your belly, sitting, standing, but mostly we do it lying on the back because this gives us the opportunity um, to reduce the muscle tone and not have to not have to deal with gravity and with balance. So this
I
allows you to look more closely at small details of of what makes you tick.
this is fascinating. So when you started doing this, when you first started doing this, was there a particular movement you were like, "Oh, wait a minute, there's something to this. There's something that I just experienced something that made me feel a lot better." What was that like for you?
Um, Well, I've been doing classes like once a week for quite a few years
Hmm.
when I was living in Tel Aviv, and the classes are always different. Each class is different, so you never repeat anything, and the possibilities of exploration are really infinite.
Hmm.
I keep doing classes, and different teachers invent new classes and explore new things or explore the same things in new ways. It is fascinating. So you don't really learn a specific way to do things.
Mm.
You learn a way to observe yourself. And what you really practice is the skill of awareness. You become much more precise in observing yourself in action. Um, you notice smaller details, and you actually open options. You
Hmm.
open movement options, and you open options in your life, because movement is just one aspect of our whole being, and this method is very clearly holistic. It doesn't treat movement as a mechanical thing. It is our way of being.
What is curious about it is, as far as movement goes these days, everyone is, kind of stuck in the same little space. We've all been quarantined for a year now, yeah, a little more for some of us. And it, so we're in these little spaces just doing the same repetitive movement over and over again. And as I'm learning about what you're teaching people, you're teaching people how to kind of release this new daily work, terrible, sit in a chair and type all day energy. Is that kind of how you see it too?
Well, the thing that I see all around me and in myself is that we move too little.
Yes.
It's very clear that we evolved in movement. Um, Movement becomes clearer and clearer with each new research.
Hmm.
But movement makes you healthy. Not moving makes you sick. So So we need movement. This is something very clear. And something that I discovered, and it's really surprising in the COVID era, is that people around me, in spite of being at home, so they're supposed to have more time, are even more stressed, have even less time than ever, and well, if they don't even have to go around the corner because you can now call for food to come to your door, they really don't move. So, so of course, we need exercise and we need movement. What I developed in this last year and a half, and this is not the typical way of doing Feldenkrais, is because I moved to the screen and I started teaching in Zoom. I created a course that is a daily practice of very, very short exploration. So instead of doing this whole hour, lie on your back and explore yourself and do the thing that so many people just never get to do it because they don't find 1 hour in a day.
Right.
So I developed this course that really works well online because nobody will come to my studio to do a 3-minute class. But
Right.
at home, you just turn on the video, do your 3 minutes and go on with your life. Really, there's no excuse. You can do it and you can do it every day. You can always find 3 minutes. And surprisingly enough, I wasn't sure this was an experiment. It worked wonderfully. Really, 3 minutes is enough so that something happens. By the end of the 3 minutes, you feel a difference, which means something happened, something changed in your brain, in your way of organizing yourself. We can do a 3-minute session if you want. This can be a part of our interview. I can lead you through 3 minutes of movement. This is a possibility.
Oh yeah, we would definitely. Yeah, I would like to know because we do. We work at. I do a work at home job like everybody else, and it's just sitting. But I got to tell you this. I think that when your physical body is experiencing kind of stagnation, it definitely affects your emotional body as well. It affects your emotions and how you're feeling. Which when you mentioned people feeling like they don't have time, I was like, that's why, because people are just sitting and kind of collecting this terrible energy in their body because they're not moving. So if you want to show us just one thing that can kind of help people move that away or change that, what's one thing they can do that's simple?
I can do with you a sample session. The trick of this kind of work is that you do something different every day. I cannot give you a trick like do this and repeat it every day and you'll be fine. It doesn't really work that way. But it can show you how simply by paying attention to yourself and just giving yourself 3 minutes of taking care of yourself, like you dedicate 3 minutes to your well-being.
Yeah.
And if you do it every day, something changes and it accumulates. It becomes a habit. And this is
Nice.
the whole idea.
Oh, so walk us through like what's something we can do to release all this terrible energy.
Okay, so you and anybody who is watching or listening to this, just sit a little forward in your chair, in the front of the chair, so that you don't lean back.
All right.
Hold yourself normally. Don't try to make a good posture. Just sit up. Okay? And move your head, tilt it to one side and to the other, which means you bring your ear closer to your shoulder. You don't turn, you tilt sideways. Okay? And see which side is easier. And probably there is one side that goes a little easier than the other. Okay, don't strain, don't stretch. It's not about stretching. Just observe what it feels like. Okay, and now stay with the side that is easier. Yeah, right, left, doesn't matter. Stay with it, will work just on one side. Okay, so do it a few times to this one side. See how far you get. Don't strain. When you feel this moment when you have to do a little more, don't. Just go as much as is easy. Okay, so let's do a variation. Now let your arms hang on your sides to the
Okay.
floor. So that the hand of the same side, you keep going to the same side. You still tilt your ear to the same side, closer to the shoulder, but now you make the hand go closer to the floor, which means that you're now tilting more of yourself. Your chest turns, right? You use more of your body, so you probably go a little further without making more effort.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now your chest is kind of curving. You can feel your spine, more of your spine, not just the neck, is curving sideways. Okay, one more variation. Put the other arm up, not stretching, just a little above your head. Okay, keep going. Same way. You tilt the ear to the side, you lengthen the hand that closer to the floor, the same side, and the other hand, now bring it closer to the ceiling. At the same time, you keep going and coming back to the middle. So your hands are kind of going away from each other. One hand goes to the floor, the other one to the ceiling. And now you can feel that you do a little bigger movement because your whole side opens up, right? You can feel the ribs opening up.
Mm-hmm.
Something is changing all along your trunk, right?
Oh, that definitely feels really good on my lower back when I do that.
Yeah, so you don't strain, you just go as much as is easy. Okay, let go of it, sit normally, and just a few times tilt the head to one side and to the other. And see if there's any difference between the sides. If the side you worked on is a little easier, goes a little smoother. Okay, that's a sample of one possible 3-minute session. I didn't look at the clock, but more or less 3 minutes, okay?
Hey,
So
you,
the idea is to explore your ways of movement in this way, but we do a different one each day. So it is not that this particular, it's not an exercise really. It's just a way of looking at yourself, of kind of directing your gaze, your inner gaze into yourself and how you move. And um, you notice patterns, you notice where you move easily, where parts of you that are stuck, and you start kind of playing with it, and you become better organized with time. I don't have the trick to change your life in 3 minutes. No, I don't know how to do that. But if you do something like this every day, so as a general suggestion, I would say do
right.
anything at all. Just move for 3 minutes a day like this. Do only what's easy. Look at what you're doing. Look at different parts of your body as you move. Make sure you're breathing. Just observe yourself. And of course, when you do it with a guide, I created a whole, I have 180 sessions of 3 minutes movement that are all different. So
Mm-hmm.
it's been going for 6 months with my pilot group.
Nice.
But the idea is this: just dedicate 3 minutes to yourself. Nobody does it.
Yeah. But it is important. I'll tell you something about movement. So I used to work. There's this shift in the United States called the graveyard shift, and I used to work in a network operations center with lots of computers all through the night, and I did it for a number of years. And when it was just repetitive movement and lots of stress. And when I when I left that, I really had no idea how much stress my body had been holding into it from all of the, working in that environment and being um, in the dark all the time, being awake when everybody else is asleep. And when I left, I started walking in the just walking in the forest. And it was interesting as I began exploring this and doing this, all of this pent up energy that I had all of those years. I was lucky enough that I got to take a year off. So I did nothing but walk in the forest and make breakfast for my dogs. But that's when I started kind of learning as well that movement could release energy that I didn't even know was there. So I think that what you're doing is amazing.
Yeah, this is I got it that you made quite a shift in your life, right? From this
Mhm.
office
Mhm.
work, business world into becoming a spiritual a healer.
Mhm.
So um, yeah, it is we in our civilization is kind of sick, right? It is not a healthy environment.
Mhm.
Um, so we have to find ways that are like these 3 minutes that we just did. It is artificial. It's not something that our ancestors would do, right? They lived healthily. They lived outside. They lived in movement, and they lived with a whole variety of activities and of movement throughout the day, which is how we are made to live.
Mhm.
So when we restrict our movement, when we sit on a chair a lot, when we do the same thing again and again and nothing else, our whole system goes a little crazy.
Mhm.
It is like the Charlie Chaplin movie, Modern Times. No, you go crazy with this.
Right, you sure do.
So we need to invent ways to kind of counterbalance it with some kind of a spiritual path. And I feel that I am doing with this, let's say, body work. It
Mhm.
is not really body work. I just use movement as a doorway for an kind of a spiritual transformation.
Right.
So movement is the vehicle, or really a doorway, because in movement you can change small things. You can be very precise in what you do, much easier than with thoughts, with emotions, with the more ethereal stuff that we are made of is much less easy to manipulate precisely. So movement
Exactly.
is a very good a good area to explore.
Yes, absolutely. As a matter of fact, being a scientist, and kind of science minded, I know you'll appreciate this. So we had, speaking of conscious movement and being mindful, we had Vanessa Potter from the UK on here, and she did a 3 year study on meditation. Um, she actually woke up completely blind and paralyzed, and but she had been trained to meditate, and she was able to get back most of her feeling and her sight, most of her sight, as she started meditating. And so she started doing this study through the University of Cambridge on brain waves and how not just meditation but movement as well can create different brain waves and different moods. Which maybe it may be so. Her book is Finding My Right Mind. So they're about to. It's 3 years worth of data. They're about to do a publish for the doctorate program there, the findings that they found from these brain waves that were released when people were mindful, when Vanessa was mindful. and they made her wear an EKG. They made her wear an EKG headset on her head, and she would have to meditate, do like walking meditations and movements with this with this EKG on her head, and they would they would record the data.
Yeah.
And it's a tremendous amount, and it kind of lines up with what you're discovering and what you're teaching about movement. And movement on a conscious level lets you access brainwaves, theta brainwaves, which can definitely make you feel much better.
Yeah. I don't think there are there is any research of Feldenkrais with EKG because it is expensive and it is an alternative. So nobody invests money in it. There are some research of a kind of questionnaires and pain levels, and it has lots of already researched effects. But I am sure that brainwaves change when you do this kind of mindful movement.
Oh,
Because
absolutely.
it is a mindful practice.
Mm-hmm.
It is not a repetitive movement that you just do mechanically, because it doesn't make any sense.
Mm-hmm.
You move slowly and watch yourself closely, and you are entering a mindful state of mind. So it's meditative,
Mm-hmm.
really. So I'm sure your brainwaves calm down, and you go into some kind of it's I would say it is a meditation in action.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Absolutely.
walking meditation. It is a mindful activity, and it only makes sense if you do it that way.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for this for the study, because it kind of shows that we really do have a lot of opportunity when we can be still. And it is a way that we tap into resources that we have in our built into us, built into the way our brain works and our mind works. So, and tell me a little bit about we're the hours going by so fast. Tell me a little bit about your class and how it's going so far. You have your beginning class, and how is that going? What are they finding?
So I still give regular Feldenkrais classes, which are like an hour long, and I have my group on Zoom. I see the people moving. I give instructions.
Mm-hmm.
That's the classical way of doing it. I have a group in Spanish. This is my regular
Right.
two classes a week. But the online course that is in English is this 3 minute a day course. It works like this: you receive a daily video of 3 minutes. This is your commitment, and it's a different one each day. And you do something similar to what we did. You just do some kind of movement that I'm instructing and also demonstrating, so that it's easier, more immediate, and you do it for 3 minutes. This is it. The benefit is that you really do it every day, and when you do it every day, first it becomes a habit. So you create a habit of awareness, of really going into the space that many of us simply don't know. We never go there. So you create a small daily space of awareness. When this becomes a habit, you change something profound in your mind, in your way of being in the world throughout the day, not just for 3 minutes. And then over time, you move better, you feel better, and you look forward to it. It is curious because it's different every day. So it creates some kind of a regular moment of self-care.
Right. And that's really great that it's only 3 minutes, because who can't afford to give up 3 minutes of their time to feel better?
Yeah.
And put something into their routine that's going to make them feel better and happier definitely as time goes by. Tell us a little bit about where to find the English version of your class.
I launched it a few weeks ago. I will keep launching it because it is now it is hosted in a course platform, Experientify. So I will keep launching it once in a while. And my page is called the course is called Persistent Growth, and my page is persistent-growth.com. So
Persist.
you go there, you can sign up to get information and be on my list, so you'll know when it's launching again, which will be pretty soon.
Very nice. I'm excited. So I'll definitely put it in our show notes too. Put a link in there to your English course. In the minutes we have remaining, so I'm curious to know just a little bit more about you, Michael. How many languages do you speak?
I speak well. Let's say in some point of my life, I spoke well 4 languages: Hebrew, German, English, and Spanish.
I
But
see.
my parents were from Poland, so I heard Polish when I was a kid. I kind of understand a few words. I had to learn Italian in the Vienna Conservatory because I learned to accompany opera, so this was kind of obligatory. My mind is a mess. I can tell you, I don't speak any language well anymore.
I speak English just fine.
Yeah, English has always accompanied me, although I never lived in an English-speaking country.
Mhm.
I
Now,
told you I have a degree in English literature. I had to read a lot of English and write
Mhm.
papers in English, so it's been there.
Right, right. So let me ask you this question as well. So, in Chile, do the people of Chile consider themselves Americans?
Well, we don't really appreciate your calling yourself Americans as if you United States was America. It isn't.
Right, right, right. Well, I think
Chile is in America.
do
We are
Chile
Americans. Of course
do
we are. This is South America is America.
right, right. Do Chile people from Chile call themselves America then? Or do they just like have people in
There
the
is,
United States taken over?
yeah, no, there is the concept of Latin America.
Mhm, mhm.
America Latina is kind of all of South America and Mexico, which is and Central America. So all of the Latin speaking Americas, which is quite a bit. But so we are Latin Americans. We are part of that part of the world.
I've always been so curious about the Chile and South America, and it just because we share this huge continent, and we don't get to talk to each other very often. So, what when you moved to Chile, was there anything that surprised you most that you were like, "Wow!" like that took your breath away?
Well, Chile is like a very long worm. It, it's very narrow and it's huge. It is like
Mhm,
5,000 kilometers long. I don't know how. So in the north, there's the driest desert in the world, and in the south, you get pretty close to the South Pole.
mhm,
So it has like the variety of climate is enormous. And there's the Andes, the mountain chain all along the between Chile and Argentina. So it is also very long, very high mountains. Um, it's beautiful. It has lots
mm.
of nature, lots of different landscapes and climates. But my feeling when I came to Chile was like a little bit like coming back home,
Oh,
because
really?
I lived in Vienna for 15 years. I never felt good in Vienna. I mean, it is a fantastic city to make music in. I mean, it's a world center. It was music was amazing in Vienna, but I never really felt at home there.
Mm.
So Chile is a little more like Israel. It is messy. It is kind of people are less less formal.
Oh, yeah.
So I felt quite comfortable as I came here, and I came to Chile um, because my wife is Chilean. So I
That's a pretty good
also
reason.
came to her circle of friends and her environment, and it felt good. I felt at home right away.
Nice. Nice. Well, you know what? Michael, I cannot tell you how grateful I am to have had the opportunity to sit here and talk to you, not only about conscious movement, but about Chile as well, and about the culture there. It always makes me feel lucky that I get to do this every week because I get to have these conversations with people all around the world, and it's just an amazing thing. I can't thank you enough, and I know our listeners are going to appreciate your class and visit your website and find out how they can use conscious movement to actually improve their well-being and the way they're feeling. And I think the work you're doing is really, really important. So, Michael, thank you so much for being on our show, and thank you for being our guest. That is going to do it for the New Bridge Radio Show for this week. Tune in next week when we will have Barry Roberts as our guest. She has an amazing survival story, and we'll be talking to her about that and how she became a medical advocate for people dealing with cancer. So we'll see you next week, and thank you for tuning in to this episode of the New Bridge Radio Show.